Hey, it's Alex from Android Central, and this is the Samsung Galaxy S5 Mini. By the name and the design alone, you can probably get a pretty good idea of what this phone is all about. It's a shrunken down version of Samsung's current Android flagship. Similar physical design, with chromed edges and a dimpled battery door, only smaller. The GS5 Mini shrinks things down with a 4.5-inch 720p Super AMOLED panel on front, along with the traditional 3-button setup from Samsung. And the display is surprisingly decent for a mid-range device, with easy daylight visibility and bright vivid colours. It's another pentile screen from Samsung though, which means the text doesn't look quite as sharp as on an LCD, and you can see some jagged edges if you look closely. Around the back there's an 8-megapixel camera with LED flash, which we found to be a decent all-round camera, though a little susceptible to blurring from hand motion. And yes, just like the full-size GS5, you also get a built-in heart rate monitor down below the camera module. Snapping the back off, you can see the micro SIM and micro SD slots, along with a removable 2100 mAh battery. That's kept safely water resistant behind this rubberized, sealed area on the battery door. So this is another phone that'll take a dunk in the pool without any ill effect, though this time around Samsung's managed to keep everything water resistant without plastic flaps on the USB port. The Mini also inherits the Galaxy S5's fingerprint scanner, which you can use for lock screen security, hiding photos in the Gallery app, or authorizing PayPal payments. The smaller size makes it a bit easier to use on the regular GS5, and while accuracy has improved since we first used that phone, it's still easier than we'd like to run up against problems. In terms of performance, the GS5 Mini runs a quad-core Exynos processor at 1.4 GHz, and that consists of 4 Cortex-A7 cores, the same cores we've seen in Snapdragon 400 CPUs, only paired with an ARM Mali 400 MP GPU. On top of that, you've got 1.5 GB of RAM and 16 GB of storage, of which just over 11.5 is usable. On the whole, it's a reasonably speedy phone. You can tell the difference compared to current Android flagships, but it doesn't feel slow. Things get a bit choppy in more demanding apps like Epic Citadel, but for light gaming duties there's plenty of power on board. On the software side, it's pretty much a mirror image of the TouchWiz UI you'll find on the GS5, only with a couple of features missing. Download Booster, for instance, is gone, and there's no multi-window support, possibly due to the smaller screen. Besides that, all the Samsung features you're familiar with, and many that you probably ignore or don't know about, are here. All the various S apps like S-Voice Personal Assistant, Smart Remote for controlling your TV through the built-in IR port, and S-Health for health and fitness tracking. S-Health once again works with the built-in heart rate monitor, but for whatever reason the sensor on the Mini seems a little bit more temperamental than the one on the GS5, possibly due to the fact that it's smaller. Visually though, this is essentially a carbon copy of the slightly flatter Samsung UI from the company's current flagship. It's improved a lot in the past year, but it's still kind of an acquired taste. Over in the camera app, things have changed up a little. You don't get live HDR previews like on the Galaxy S5. Instead, HDR now lives under the Modes menu, and all the other options are found on this grid as usual. So you're looking at stills at up to 8 megapixels in 4:3 orientation and 1080p video. And for this type of device, we really can't find too much to complain about besides the fact that it's easy to mess up shots with motion blur than we'd like. So that's the Samsung Galaxy S5 Mini. It's more true to its namesake than last year's Galaxy S4 Mini, but as you might expect, it doesn't really address any of the problems with the GS5. It's still kind of a utilitarian plastic design, with software loaded with a bewildering number of features and settings, and some stuff like the fingerprint scanner and the heart rate sensor that just aren't that useful. Overall, it's a solid phone, but if you're not down with the Samsung way of doing things, there's little here to change your mind, besides the move to a smaller form factor.